In the heart of Central Asia, there's a country that remains relatively untouched by the chaos of modern tourism. Uzbekistan, a land where ancient traditions blend seamlessly with everyday life, offers a window into a world that's both mysterious and enchanting. Known for its vibrant culture, warm-hearted people, and deeply rooted Islamic heritage, Uzbekistan is a place where every street seems to hold stories from a time long past. This is the country where the Silk Road once thrived, bringing traders, scholars, and travelers from all over the world. Cities like Samarkand and Bukhara, with their stunning architecture and bustling bazaars, were once the beating heart of the Islamic world. Imagine walking through streets where some of history's greatest minds, like Ibn Sina and Al-Khwarizmi, once walked. Their contributions to science, mathematics, and medicine are still recognized today, and Uzbekistan is proud of its role in preserving this legacy. Uzbekistan's history is written in its cities, its monuments, and in the hearts of its people. During the reign of Timur, one of the most important figures in their history, the region flourished as a hub of culture, learning, and power. Timur is credited with saving Central Asia from Mongol invasions, and under his rule, Uzbekistan saw the construction of some of the most significant medreses, or Islamic schools, in the world. Take Samarkand's Ragistan medreses, for instance. These are not just buildings. They are symbols of Uzbekistan's commitment to knowledge and learning. Designated by UNESCO as heritage sites, they stand as a reminder of a time when Uzbekistan was not just a country, but the center of the world's intellectual and spiritual life. Bukhara, another jewel of Uzbekistan, was a powerful center of Islamic scholarship and culture. It's hard to walk through these ancient streets and not feel the weight of history pressing down on you. This is where scholars, poets, and thinkers once gathered, sharing ideas that would go on to shape entire civilizations. And the architecture? It's breathtaking. From the towering minarets to the intricately tiled mosques, Uzbekistan's cities are open-air museums, waiting to be explored. Uzbekistan has had a turbulent history, and in 1991 the country finally gained its independence from the Soviet Union. For more than 70 years, it had been under Soviet control, but despite this, the people of Uzbekistan managed to preserve their unique identity, their language, and their deep connection to Islam. Today, Uzbekistan is still in the process of developing its economy, but it's a country rich in natural resources like gas, oil, and gold. Their currency, the Som, is relatively undervalued, with $1 equaling around 11,500 Som. Uzbekistan's economy is driven by agriculture, primarily the production of cotton and wheat. You'll find vast fields of these crops stretching across the landscape. But despite the country's natural wealth, many people in Uzbekistan live modestly, with a large portion of the population working abroad to support their families back home. The Soviet influence can still be seen throughout Uzbekistan, from the architecture to the wide streets of its cities. And while the country is rapidly modernizing, it's clear that Uzbekistan is still in transition. It's a nation that's finding its way, balancing its rich history with the demands of the modern world. One of the most striking things about Uzbekistan is the beauty of its cities. Samarkand, in particular, is like something out of a fairy tale. Its grand medreses, ancient mosques, and bustling markets give the city a timeless quality. This was once the Pearl of the East, a city that drew scholars, traders, and travelers from every corner of the globe. Today, it's one of the most impressive historical sites in the world, and walking through its streets feels like stepping back in time. And then there's Bukhara, a city that was once the third most important stop along the Silk Road. Bukhara is home to the Kalan Minaret, one of the largest and oldest minarets in the world, built in 1127. Despite surviving Mongol invasions, it still stands today, a testament to the craftsmanship and resilience of the people who built it. The city's narrow streets, ancient monuments, and colorful bazaars make it a must-visit destination for anyone interested in history and culture. One of the most beautiful aspects of Uzbek culture is its craftsmanship. Uzbek women are masters of carpet weaving, creating pieces that rival even those from Iran. It's a tradition that has been passed down for generations. And the result is stunning, handmade carpets that are sold in local bazaars. You'll find these crafts at reasonable prices, and they reflect the dedication and skill of the artisans who make them. As you explore the country, one thing you'll notice is the abundance of Chevrolet cars on the road. Imported goods are heavily taxed in Uzbekistan, so General Motors decided to open a factory there. It was a clever move, as most cars on the road are now locally produced, keeping prices lower for the average citizen. And while the roads are filled with these vehicles, Uzbekistan's bazaars are filled with life. The sprawling markets are where locals go to buy their daily necessities, and you can find anything from sunflower seeds to Samarkand halva to local bread. Speaking of bread, you haven't truly experienced Uzbekistan until you've tried their famous bread. It's not just food, it's a tradition. Bakers work with such dedication, using traditional clay ovens to make loaves that are both delicious and long-lasting. In fact, it's said that this bread can sustain soldiers for a month without spoiling, and each bakery produces thousands of loaves daily. Uzbekistan is also famous for its pilaf, the national dish that's made with kilos of rice, meat, chickpeas, and carrots, cooked in enormous cauldrons. The process takes hours, with chefs praying over the dish before it's served, and the result is a mouth-watering meal that's rich in flavor and tradition. When you walk through the streets of Tashkent, Uzbekistan's capital, you can feel a mix of old and new. The wide streets and Soviet-era buildings are a reminder of the country's past, but there's a vibrant energy in the air as Uzbekistan opens itself to the world. It's the most populous city in Central Asia, with over 3 million residents, and yet it still feels spacious. Russian influence is still present in the language and architecture, with signs in both Uzbek and Russian, but the country is forging its own identity as it modernizes. In the bustling bazaars and quiet backstreets, you'll find street vendors selling their goods, pigeons painted in bright colors, and children playing in Soviet-era playgrounds. Uzbekistan's infrastructure reflects its Soviet past, especially when you look at its metro system. Built in 1977, it was Central Asia's first metro and remains one of the most visually impressive. The metro stations are masterpieces of Soviet architecture, each one a reflection of a bygone era, but still very much alive today. For longer journeys between cities, trains are the way to go. The country's railway system is reliable, and you'll see staff in smart uniforms, keeping the experience professional and pleasant. Despite the richness of its culture and history, Uzbekistan is still a developing country. Wages are low, with the minimum wage around $320, and many young people leave to find better opportunities abroad. Life in Uzbekistan is simple, and while it may not offer high wages, it offers an incredible cultural and culinary experience. For those who visit, it's a chance to step back in time, to see a country that has preserved its traditions while slowly moving forward. Uzbekistan is a place where you can feel history in the air, taste it in the food, and see it in the faces of its people. Uzbekistan may not be the wealthiest country in the world, but what it lacks in material riches, it makes up for in culture, history, and heart. It's a place you'll never forget, a hidden paradise that's waiting to be discovered.